It's loading.
Okay, so now I'm talking, am I the big screen?
It's still loading.
Oh, okay. So we don't know yet.
And it didn't pull it up on our end, so we're gonna go search for it. Okay. It shows both of you.
Equal?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to step over here and see what they're seeing? So this is what they are seeing currently.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Mhm.
All right. We are ready, and it is 3 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm so glad you could join us today. I'm Edie, and I'm here in our small classroom studio at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center. I know it looks odd that I'm here by myself with a mask on, but my friend and coworker Mary will be back in just a little bit. She's had to step out for a minute, but I am not alone because Jessica Garvin is here with us. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the invitation and for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so Jessica is our state senator. I'm fogging. Sorry about that. Jessica is a state senator from District 43, which includes much of Duncan, a good portion, I don't know, Stevens County, I think.
Yes.
Is it Grady County also?
So I've got Stevens County, I've got McLean County, and a little sliver of Garvin County, and it's Garvin, McLean, Grady, and Stevens. Yeah. So
Okay, awesome.
just a little bit.
Okay, so some of you watching may recognize Jessica, and you know what? If you need to get a word to someone at the state capitol, she's the one to get in touch with. And actually, if you don't mind, Jessica, we'll put your contact information on here, your email address.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Someone wants to contact you about something. Jessica's here. She's not the person I'm going to be interviewing today. I would like to maybe have her come back another time after she's maybe had her first, what is it, session?
Yeah.
Yeah, after your first session, Jessica, maybe you can come back and be a guest and kind of break it down for us and tell us what it's like to be
Yeah,
the
that'd be great.
freshman senator and all that stuff. So
Maybe by then I'll have figured it out.
right, yeah, that's exactly right. So, but today we're going to talk about, this is Women's History Month. And so with that emphasis in mind, we're going to talk about some, I mean, the women that we're going to talk about, I got a little bit emotional and kind of, I don't know, just reading through their stories and the things that they pushed through and endured, and just the trail they blazed for so many of the rest of us. And so I'm very excited to talk to you about these amazing women today. And well, let's just dive into it. Okay, so the first women, it's a group of women that I want to talk to you about are these, the women represented on this. Now this is a print of a, make sure there's no glare, there we go, of a mural that is at the state capitol up in the rotunda. Isn't that right, Jessica? As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Jessica has a cool picture she's going to show you in just a minute of this, but this is, it's the women, the group of women are referred to as the 5 Native American ballerinas, or the 5 moons. This mural was actually done by Mike Larson, who in 2022 is going to be a featured artist here at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center. So that's something to look forward to. But the portrait behind me is by Bernetta Griffith, and it is of Maria Tall Chief. And anyway, these 5 women were all in the 1940s. They took American ballet, I guess would be the way to say it, to the world's stage. Wouldn't you agree, Jessica, that that's,
Absolutely.
I mean, they, the 5 were all Native American, obviously all from Oklahoma. And they kind of took the world by storm. And ballet in those years was predominantly a Russian art form. And so when these women who came from the United States were not just, I would say, not just accepted into that world, but to a degree, I would say they dominated the ballet world. You know, they really came on strong. And so I'm going to talk about each of them just a little bit. Maria Tallchief was the first. And her sister Marjorie is actually one of them. So can you imagine having 2 prima ballerinas in the same family? I mean, what talent. That just is amazing. But Maria Tallchief was the first prima ballerina of the New York City Ballet. And when I say prima ballerina, that means the female principal dancer. That means if there is a lead dancing role in a ballet performance, that lead dancer is the principal dancer or the prima. And so that was Maria Tallchief's role in the New York City Ballet. She gained worldwide fame, and then along came her sister Marjorie, and they were both of those, the Tallchiefs were both Osage. And Marjorie was the first Native American to be the prima of the Paris Opera Ballet. Shawnee Cherokee dancer Yvonne Shuto, she was the youngest dancer ever accepted into the, and Jessica, do you happen to know French?
No, I will learn it for next time though.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the worst Oklahoma hick pronunciation of this.
I was just hoping that you weren't going to try to make me read that paragraph.
So this is the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. That's
sounds right.
You guys, y'all listening all know exactly what I mean, don't you? I went a little hick on that response just then. And then there was the Choctaw dancer, Rosella Hightower, a critically acclaimed dancer in Paris and New York. And then finally, Cherokee dancer, Moshelin Larkin. And she toured Europe and the Americas with the original Ballet Russe. Now they were called the 5 Moons after there was a statue made in their honor, and that was called the 5 Moons, and then that collective name kind of stuck with these ballerinas. And I don't know, to me, when you think about the moon, you know, just that thing you see in the night sky, and just that I don't know, you know, from the time you're a little kid, you always want to spot the moon, right? And see what it's doing. Is it waxing? Is it waning? Is it a sliver? Is it full? And the moon dances. And I just thought it was kind of a beautiful poetic name that they gave to that. But those women, I mean, they were able to accrue wealth and fame and notoriety, and that was most unusual for Native Americans in those days. I think that may be one of the most outstanding things about it, is that Native Americans in those days were somewhat prohibited in their, you know, privilege. And so these women broke those barriers down. And it might say something about how the world accepted them more easily than probably their fellow Americans did, which is kind of a sad thing to note, but
I'm here.
a happier note, Mary's back. Hey,
I'm back.
hey, she is here.
It's cold.
Maria Tallchief, though, okay, Rosella Hightower, I just got to say that when she was 14 years old, she walked up to someone who she had performed, and there was a great, well-known choreographer.
Massini?
Oh, good. Mary's going to try to pronounce
Yeah.
names
How
now
you like
instead
that?
of me having
Leonid
to.
Massini. That's how we're gonna go with it today. That's the Oklahoma interpreted.
Yeah, there you
show.
go. Yeah,
There we go.
you missed me a while ago. Jessica bowed out. She wasn't going to try
There
it.
was
She
one
said she
I-
was going to learn French for the next time she's on that.
You never know what you might have to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So, but when she was only 14 years old, she introduced herself to this choreographer and convinced him to let her have an audition in Monte Carlo. And so she just got on a ship and rode 2 weeks. Y'all,
think
I
you might
mean,
be in the
it's
car.
been a long time since I was 14, but I don't know that I would have had the nerve at 14 to do that. Anyway,
Or to go off by yourself for 2 weeks on a ship.
yeah, and to Europe.
Yeah, nope, I'm out.
And then there's the whole mom side of me that's like, she did what?
You let her do what?
Oh my word. But you know what? It was exactly the right thing to do because her career excelled from there. So she knew, she was confident. I think that's one thing that women can take away from all of this. Have confidence. You know what you're good at. You know what you can do.
Mhm.
And just, go with that. You go, Rosella. But I loved the quote by Maria Tallchief.
Which one?
The one about how she wanted to be known. Jessica, didn't you think that was, I think that's the way she said, above all, I want to be appreciated as a prima ballerina who happened to be Native American, never as someone who was an American Indian ballerina.
Amen.
Because, right?
Yeah, so it's funny whenever I read that earlier I guess it was yesterday morning. I had an article that I put out a couple of weeks ago about that exact. It's literally the exact same thing where I said, it's unfortunate that we're still at an age where we talk about the first female vice president. And yes, it's an amazing accomplishment for women. And although she and I don't agree necessarily politically, I wish we could get to a point that she was just the vice president and she just happened to be a woman. And I literally said that verbatim in my article. And so I thought it was really interesting that she had that thought so many years ago. Because I think that's important. I think we've got to get to a point where that's our mentality. I don't think we're ever going to shift culture until we start thinking that way.
Right. I agree with you
Mhm.
completely. I love that. I think that's one of the most important points of today's lesson. So these women, okay, so I only know one person who is a professional ballerina, but
Professional? I
uh-huh.
don't know.
But talking to her mom, she was graduated with my big boys, but her mom had talked about how among the dancers, and you've probably seen this like on TV or movie situations where there's a real competition to be that principal dancer,
Mhm.
and that and so it's like dog eat dog out there, and you
It really is.
yeah, and you better, the claws are out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these women did not feel that way about
Mhm.
one another.
They weren't in competition with
Right,
one another.
and so they were very supportive of one another, and I thought it was interesting, the material I found about it, that they brought that point out, and I feel like it was because of that,
Right. Reason.
yeah, backbiting
Yeah,
and
it had
just,
to be. Yeah.
always hoping that someone is going to not do as well as you do. One other thing is that Well, the women, okay, after they retired from dancing, they all reinvested in the next generation of dancers, which I think is just a beautiful tribute to their craft, as well as their desire to bring
To give
other,
back.
yes, to give back and bring others along. And so they started ballet companies. One of them started the School of Dance at the University of Oklahoma. And they taught young dancers how to become what they were able to become. And so, just encouraging and just pouring yourself. But one student that Maria Talchi had
Yeah,
was,
Megan Mullally.
Yeah,
who played
Meg-
Karen Walker on Will and Grace.
yeah, Megan Mullally, or she was Tammy #2 on Parks and Rec, if you ever watched that. What's her husband's name? I can't think. He plays Bron Swanson.
I don't know. I just knew Karen.
Oh, well,
I
anyway,
love
I can't
Karen.
think of her. Sorry, Megan, I'm sure you're watching this,
Yeah,
or you're
you know
going
she's
to.
right
So, yeah,
there.
she's a Trail Talk
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was so cool that Megan Mullally, someone that people know today, actually
Was taught by.
was taught by
Mhm.
Maria Talchi. I wish I could remember which one taught at OU, because there's a lady that lives here in Duncan, and she was her dance teacher at the University of Oklahoma.
Really?
Yes. Bailey, you wouldn't mind looking that up? One of the Native American ballerinas who started, we're gonna get that information back to you guys. Anyway, they true great women from Oklahoma.
Ahead of
And
their time.
yeah, ahead of their time. That's a good point, Mary.
I come in with those occasions.
Yeah. Mary has those now and then. Okay, we're gonna move on now and start talking about a woman named Clara Luper. So let's kind of shift over here, if you don't mind, camera crew, Tina.
Can you see it?
Yeah, can you see that?
Oh, there's your.
Okay, Yvonne Shuto. I thought that's who it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. Yvonne Shuto was the one of the ballerinas who came back and started the School of Dance at the University of Oklahoma, and she actually taught a lady who lives here in Duncan who took ballet at the university. I know, how cool is that? Okay, so Clara Luper, these are the some photographs of Clara Luper. Here, she's right here in the middle of this group shot, and this is a portrait of her. Clara Luper, if you Google
Bless her soul, she taught.
Oh, yeah, I know. She taught for 41 years. Whew. But when you Google her, school teacher is what comes up under her name, which I think is that's because I think that's what she loved the most. But guys, she was a civil rights activist. Like, I mean, top.
Yeah.
She was, but
The whole family.
the whole family, that's true. But you may not, I mean, Jessica, were you familiar with Clara Luper?
I think I have seen stuff about her in the Oklahoma Heritage Museum here in Oklahoma City.
Yes.
We were there over spring break last week with the kids, and I'm 99% sure that they had some information about her. But that was the first time that I had heard of her. She seems fascinating.
She was, and she was right here in Oklahoma. She went to Langston University for her undergrad, but then went on to the University of Oklahoma and was the first African-American student to enroll in the history department there. And she earned her master's degree in history, which is in those days, I mean, that was an outstanding feat. That was in 1951. Now, when we talk about Ada Lois Sipewell Fisher here in a minute, she actually paved the way for Clara Luper to be able to attend the University of Oklahoma.
She did.
Right. But back to Clara Luper. So she was very active in the NAACP, and she was
She was the advisor for the Oklahoma City National.
for the Youth Council. She was the advisor for the Youth Council in Oklahoma City. And now the Katz drugstore, that was before my time. I never,
Like KATZ, right?
yeah, they were, and they were a chain. They were in other cities. But Clara Luper took a group of young people,
Young,
like her daughter, I think was 8.
yeah, 6 or 8.
Yeah, and some teenagers, and they went into the Katz drugstore where they were not allowed to be because of the color of their skin. And they went in and ordered something to drink
At the counter.
at the counter, and they were refused service.
But they sat there.
They sat there. They
I thought it
came-
was really interesting. It says the information that you sent said that she had been arrested 26 times.
Yes,
And they were all nonviolent.
yes.
Yeah.
Every single protest or sit-in that she led was non-violent, and yet she was arrested 26 times.
Talk about determination.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would have been done it too.
I
At
know.
26, that's phenomenal, I think.
It is. And what a great example for her daughter,
Mhm.
for those young people who she was advising and counseling and leading and being an example. And what she actually has a quote, you about going to jail, being arrested, that you couldn't ask someone, just as in the women's suffrage movement, some of us had to go to jail. We knew we couldn't just sit back, point at someone else and tell them they had to go. We had to do it ourselves.
And she just said that in 2000.
Yeah, she just said that in 2000. I mean, she was
still.
to the very end. She was just such a great civil rights activist. And Clara Luper is a name that you may not associate with that, but she did great things. So the Katz drugstore like their headquarters in Kansas, I believe, decided to open their drugstores. And so to people of all colors,
Mhm.
and
All because of her.
all because of her.
Yep.
And that was the first sit-in that gave rise to many other sit-ins that happened
Mhm.
along the way. So that was a great thing that she did. They named a street after her in Oklahoma City.
I like this quote. She
What?
says, when someone asked her if she, a Black woman, could represent white people, her response was, "Of course, I can represent white people, Black people, red people, yellow people, brown people, and polka dot people. You see, I have lived long enough to know that people are people."
Those beautiful words. She's just such an eloquent woman. And she was running for the United States Senate. And that was a question someone asked her.
Mhm.
Wow. Of course, that was in 1972.
Several years back.
Yeah, a long
But-
time ago, but still, she was not successful in that attempt, but I applaud her for
Mhm.
going hard. Go big or go home. And
She
I,
definitely did.
yeah, she absolutely did. She's in several halls of fame: Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Oklahoma Women's Hall of Fame, and Oklahoma Afro-American Hall of Fame, among others. The scholarship thing at Oklahoma City University, every year, 30 to 45 students get a full scholarship that is in her name to attend Oklahoma City University.
Mhm.
Bravo.
Yep.
I don't know what endowment that comes from, but bravo, that is an excellent
Mhm. That's
contribution.
A lot of college education.
Yes, it is. Anyway, she has accolade after accolade from all sorts of people.
She's got a street named after her in Oklahoma
In
City.
Oklahoma City, yeah, she is just, the mayor of Oklahoma City, when she passed away, said, while her accomplishments are too many to list, her legacy is easily defined. She opened eyes and in turn opened hearts and minds. And I thought that was a beautiful tribute, yeah.
Mhm.
And then, of course, as a history teacher, she said, my biggest job now is making white people understand that Black history is white history. We cannot separate the two. And boy, what a statement that still, I feel like that was like from 2006. So that's like 15 years ago.
It's like
And
5 years before she died.
and, you know, I feel like those are words that we still need to get a hold of all the way today. You know, we're still kind of tiptoeing around some of that. And, I mean, Clara Luper, she was
She didn't
awesome.
tiptoe.
She did not tiptoe. You're exactly right, Mary. She did not tiptoe.
Still have those. every
She
once
walked full into every situation
in a while.
with her eyes open, realizing that she may end up in jail.
That's right.
26 times.
Yeah, 26 times. She
Yeah.
didn't care.
I just applaud Clara Luper, and I hope that you have learned something about her today and that she becomes one of those women that you comes to mind when you think about someone you admire or someone that you would like to pattern your life after. I mean, such passion and determination.
Speaking of determination.
Yes, Ada Lois Sipuel Fisher. My son Andy has said her name so many times because he went to OU and they do a lot of things acknowledging her on campus. And so he's really
He's
talked
familiar
about
with
her a lot. Yeah, but this is an actual painting. It's a picture of a painting of her. And this is her poring over books. Looks like over in a law library or
It almost looks like
something.
she's signing a document.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But she was, when I said the word trailblazer earlier, she
That's who that
is
is.
100% a trailblazer. So she is from Chickasha, which is very near
Not
where we
far from
are,
us.
right? You know, that, I mean, just up the road a ways. And she graduated from Langston University in 1945. Now, these dates are kind of important. In 1945, she graduated with honors, but she wanted a law degree. She decided she wanted to be a lawyer.
And she dug her heels in for it.
Yeah, so education was segregated to a degree that I did not fully grasp
Yeah.
until I was really studying this. And she wanted to go to, well, Langston did not have a law program. And
At
so,
this time, yeah.
yeah, so she wanted to go to the University of Oklahoma to earn her degree. And so there were actual laws that prohibited Black students and white students attending the same university. Okay, so the laws were so, messed up, that's a good way. So if she were allowed to sit in a classroom at a university with white students,
Everybody be in trouble.
yeah, everyone, the professor could have been fined $50 a day
If she
for
was allowed
every
to sit
day she was in the classroom. The other students,
Would also be fined
$20
a day.
a day for every time they sat in the same classroom with her. I told Mary, I said, where was the motivation to integrate?
There
You
wasn't
know, I
one.
mean,
They'd probably carry them out themselves just because they didn't, who would want to be fined? I mean, the
why?
fining
That blew
did
my
not.
mind
was
that
not
there
possible.
were fines assessed to that sort of thing. Wow, I mean, I don't feel like we've come far enough, but wow, we have come a very long way from there. And a lot of what happened in Oklahoma is because of her.
Mhm. Well, she was even accepted, and they said that there was no academic reason that her admission should be rejected
Right, she took it
She was
all the
simply
way to the
rejected.
Supreme Court.
because of her color.
Yeah, she went to the district court.
Mhm.
They said, nope, we're not going to change anything. She went to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Nope, we're not going to change anything. And her attorney was Thurgood Marshall,
Mhm.
who went on to become one of the justices
Supreme Court
on the
justice.
Supreme Court. I was like, wow, he knew the potential that case had and was willing to, stand up there with her. So, I mean, I thought that was amazing. But finally, the Supreme Court said, no,
48.
yeah, you can't do that. You have to allow her.
The same type of education. I think that's what they said, wasn't it?
Let's see.
Securing the same with the same opportunities for securing a legal education as it provided to other citizens of Oklahoma.
Right, right. So the Supreme Court ruled, and so the case was sent to Cleveland County District Court to remand the ruling. They followed the ruling, the legislature. Jessica, we're asking you to make better decisions than what we're making
Yes, I definitely will after reading all of this.
in those days. Okay, so rather than admit her to the University of Oklahoma, in a 5-day period, they set up a law school at Langston University.
Kind of in the state capitol senate, wasn't it?
Well, that's where she was, it was through Langston University, but
It
yeah,
was in one of
she,
the state capitol.
it was one of the state capitol rooms where she was going to have to
Just
go
kind of threw everything together and said, here's your law school.
take her classes. Yeah, so, that just sounds shoddy. That doesn't sound like a real,
It's like someone having a, I don't know. It's just horrible.
right. You wouldn't want to send a doctor to a school like that or any other, I mean, you just wouldn't want to do that. That was not nice. Anyway, so it went round and round and round. She refused to go, and I don't blame her. And so it went all the way back to the Supreme Court again. Well, no, it didn't, because they wouldn't take it the second time.
They said we're
Mhm.
done.
But the Attorney General declined to return to Washington and face the same 9 Supreme Court justices to argue that Langston's law school was equal to OU's law school. Smart move, sir. And because of that concession, she finally was able to apply for admission to the University of Oklahoma College of Law and was admitted. And Langston's Law University closed 12 days later.
Yeah.
So,
There's no graduates.
right, yeah, no graduates from Imagine, that little room, yeah. But she was forced to sit behind
Still segregated.
the last row of chairs and a rail at the back of the classroom. All Black students enrolled at the University of Oklahoma were provided separate eating facilities and restrooms. This is the part where I get kind of emotional about all of this, the degree of separation. They were separated in every aspect of
Anywhere
life.
they could.
Yeah, but that changed in 1950. Because in 1948, a group of 6 Black Oklahomans applied to the university's graduate programs, and Thurgood Marshall took one of those cases back to the Supreme Court, and they ruled the restrictions of segregation imposed at OU impaired and inhibited this particular student's ability to study. And that meant that Blacks could no longer be segregated at OU and could now be admitted to graduate schools. And so that's in 1950. And what happened the next year? Clara Luper went to the University of Oklahoma and enrolled in the history department's graduate program. Woo-hoo, right? I mean, and so because of that, she was able to teach history all those years to those kids, and just look at how it all works together, y'all. And it was all these women just standing firm and pushing forward. It's just so inspirational.
Hey, before you hop on to the next one, I'm going to have to hop off, and I am so sorry.
Oh my gosh, we forgot the picture. Do you still have the picture of Colin?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I do.
You have to see
All right.
this picture.
Okay.
This is her little girl, Jessica's daughter, Collins, and she is on the floor at the road. She's on the floor at the Capitol, and just above her, there is the mural of the 5 moons. That was just like the print I showed you. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, so they've got it covered up. There's
Because
got
of
it
the
covered up.
they have like something draped over it.
Yeah, they've got stuff draped on it because they're in the process of remodeling the Capitol still. I think the plastic may be off now, but whenever I was reading about the 5 moons, it just blew me away because I didn't really know the history behind behind the painting until recently, well, until this came to me. But it just made, I've loved this picture since I took it, but it made it even more meaningful to me because my daughter's in a singlet because she just came from her wrestling
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
But she also takes dance at Heartbeat in Duncan
Uh-huh.
and is quite the little ballerina. And so it was just cool because, you know, her being a female wrestler, she's definitely making leaps and bounds of improvements for women in that space. And there's been such advancement in women's wrestling, girls wrestling over the last several years. So I thought it was very applicable that my daughter is dancing in a singlet in front of that.
Below
the
the
ballerinas.
mural of the 5 moves. That's
Yes, yeah, it
That
was really neat.
today's lesson on Trail Talk so perfectly.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and we'll have to do it again soon. And again, I hate hopping off early, but I'm glad that I got to be
Hey,
a
you
part
know
of
what?
guys
It's
today.
okay. You can come back again sometime.
I appreciate that.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Y'all see you later. Bye.
Okay, guys, so we're going to continue on. I just want to be sure that we give Ada Lois Scipio Fisher her due. She only practiced law for
Mhm.
like 1 year
Yeah.
in
Took her
Chickasha
longer to fight it.
because it did, but
I
I'm
bet she held her head high when she was in there.
Yes, you're exactly right. She had every reason to, but she went on then to serve at the university level. And then ended up devoting her life into serving as chairs of departments. And when she retired, she was assistant vice president of academic affairs at Langston University. So I just think that's,
She was the lady who was once rejected by the university and is now a member of the governing board.
yeah. That was when, so in 1992, Governor Walters
Mhm.
appointed her to the OU Board of Regents.
Mhm.
And so that,
Yeah.
yeah, full circle, exactly. Fist bump to David Walters for making that awesome decision. And I have sat in the Memorial Garden at the University of Oklahoma. It's kind of near the Union and also with a building where you go for like tours and stuff. And anyway, it's a lovely little sitting area. There are benches and trees and a little water thing. And anyway, it's a very nice place, just a quiet place to go sit. And there's a very large bronze plaque that tells her story in a nutshell. It was not nearly as much information as
Not
we
as
were able
detailed
to
as
share.
here.
Yeah, but anyway, another outstanding Oklahoma woman and just someone I truly admire. I truly admire
Great
her for all I've
accomplishments.
learned. Okay, guys, we're going to introduce you to one more now. Before we go on, I need you all to know that we're talking about, well, 8 total women today. That is like, can you see how tiny that space is? There are so many women from Oklahoma who have done amazing things. We're just getting started. This will be a regular featured segment on Trail Talk. We're going to introduce you to a lot of other women. But this is, this portrait is of Pearl Carter Scott. It's behind me now. We're adjusting things here, but this is Pearl when she was a girl. And Pearl, we've talked to her about her before when we did Oklahoma Aviators. But just kind of to reintroduce you to Pearl, she's from Marlow, again, just up the
Right up the
road.
road.
She was born in 1915, learned to drive a car when she was 11,
Mhm.
got her own car when she was 12.
Yeah.
Her dad got her own car because she could
Yeah,
drive.
times were different then.
Very different. Then became a pilot and actually got a pilot's license when she was 13. You were supposed to be 16 to get a pilot's license, but her dad, I don't know.
Dad did it.
Her dad did it. Pearl didn't do it, okay? She was just a kid. The paperwork was not completely accurate, but She
got it
was still,
nonetheless.
she got it nonetheless, and she was the first Chickasaw. She is Chickasaw and Choctaw. Okay, she was the first Chickasaw to become a pilot, and she was the youngest pilot in the United States when she
Got her
got her
license.
license. So way to go, Pearl.
And
She
it
was
wasn't like
just-
she's got her license. She had training and had been in an airplane.
Right, she
It wasn't like he just submitted an application and say, hey,
Yeah,
wants to
she,
fly.
her first flight instructor was Wiley Post. That might ring a bell with some of you. And then another man named Slim Marshall, but she took flying lessons for probably a year and a half,
Mhm.
flying as much as she possibly could. She was a trick flyer.
Like
She
stunt
learned,
flyer?
yeah, stunt flyer. Yeah, that's the right word. She did all sorts of things in the air. She was,
Air shows.
yeah, she was just not afraid and loved it, and she was really great at it. She retired when she was 18. She retired from flying.
Mhm. When she started having kids.
Yeah, she already had one child, another one was on the way, and
She realized the danger in it.
yeah, so it was time. It was time for her to step away from flying. So she raised her family, and then she started another career, and she became a spokesperson, well, not just a spokesperson, but a representative for the Chickasaw tribe. And she was so big in helping the Chickasaw community become or take care of themselves health-wise.
Mhm.
She made sure there was food for people. She made sure they had rides to doctor's appointments, and she was such an active, devoted member of the Chickasaw tribe. She just really gave back. Yeah, she gave back
And
big
made sure there
time.
was things in place to go on for years.
Yes, exactly. She established in things that are still in
Long-term standing
still
today.
standing today.
Yeah.
She was actually good friends with Bill Anatubby, who is the principal chief of the Chickasaw tribe
Mhm.
now.
Is he still?
Well, there's a sign out, a billboard thing outside of Norman that still has
I
his
knew he
picture.
was.
Mhm.
At one point, I didn't know if he still was.
Yeah. But Pearl is remembered in a number of ways. There are two different movies. One's kind of a documentary about her. The other is one that the Chickasaw Nation produced, and it's called Pearl.
Mhm.
We have that.
We do have that here.
We have that for sale here at the Heritage Center. It is a great movie too. They do such a great job.
Mhm.
Wow. There's a book called Never Give Up. That's Pearl's own story.
Mhm.
Bailey's gonna grab it for us so we can hold it up for you. We also have this book in our gift shop. And it's a really good read, a very good read. Pearl did a great job of writing about all that. She was a great mom and a great Chickasaw and a great pilot, a outstanding Oklahoman,
Mhm.
and a real waymaker for women.
Exactly.
She just did so many great things. So she's in the Chickasaw Nation Hall of Fame, International Women's Air and Space Museum, Oklahoma Aviation and Space Hall of Fame, National Museum of the American Indian.
The charter member of that one.
Yes, and that's at the Smithsonian. And in 2014, a portrait of her was unveiled at the Oklahoma House of Representatives. So there are so many people have given her the honor
Mhm.
that she deserves. And this portrait we have was done by Elaine Smith. And this is one that hangs in our gallery here at the Heritage Center. But the documentary is called Pearl Carter Scott on Top of the World. But if you guys want to know any other information about any of the women that we've talked about today, we would love to kind of point you in the right direction. If you have any questions or anything, we'll do our best to answer. Thanks again to Jessica Garvin for joining us today. And you know what? It's that time? Yeah, it's Women's History Month, and we are glad to introduce you to some great historical women from Oklahoma. And our crew is ready to push the
Call
button.
the day.
Yeah, call it a day. Oh, yeah, that's what we're,
Yeah, we're doing it.
So, here we go, guys. when, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh,
That's
tomorrow
at 1.
is at 1:00. You can still watch at 3 because it will be on Facebook, but tomorrow I'm talking
Live
to,
will be at 1.
yeah, Mark Moss from Lost Shaker Assault, the band that will be in Duncan on Friday night performing at the Simmons Center. So be sure and tune in tomorrow at 1. And until then,
Happy trails.
happy trails.